Hi, my name is Pam Denny. I'm the designer and architect of the Maximo BI or Business Intelligence tools. This is part 4 in our series of recording where we're exploring the new Cognos tools you are entitled to with the Maximo76 release. In our last recording, we built up this list report. We added fields from multiple objects, did some sorting, grouping, calculation, filters, a number of great things to give our users very detailed information. One thing I wanted to highlight is that as you build a report, there's so many different ways that you can do different features and apply different features of the report. And one of the things that I had meant to show you was how you can quickly change the label, and I'm just going to do it here as we talk by right-clicking on it again and change the edit data label. And many different ways are going to be available to you. Everybody's going to build their report in their own unique way. But with this, I have a lot of text and users are busy. So what we want to give our users is a beautiful chart so they can quickly see the information and then they can take immediate action. So let's do that. When I originally started, I had selected a list report, but let's change it so we can add in a few graphs. To do that, I come to the top toolbar menu and select Page Layout. I click on that and it gives me this really simple dialog of the different options available to me. And I'm going to select the one down here. And watch what happens as my page refreshes. It brought in some additional containers. I can see one over here on the right, but I'm not quite sure where the other one is. So how do I work with this report now? Well, if you simply come over here to the View dialog and click on it, you'll see a toggle between Page Design and Page Preview. Page Preview is the default and perfect as I add my attributes to make sure my data is coming back, but I need to switch over and see Page Design. Now this is a view that I, as the designer, can work with because I see here's my container here and here's my other container on the bottom. It's not actually what I expected when I selected that page layout, so I need to work with this to get the format that I actually want. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to select my top container and I'm going to cut and move it. Now this can be a little tricky to make sure that you're actually selecting the right value because you want to make sure, again, that you only get that once I have my container selected, and make sure you see that gray shade. That tells you that it is actually the whole area is selected. And I'm going to come down here on the bottom, and there's my bottom container, and select Paste. So what it did again was move my list tab from this top container, put it in the bottom. So now I have two available sections where I can add my chart. Well, let's switch over from our source area to our toolbox and let's build the content. Well, let me first bring over my chart. Now the nice thing here is I have so many options to choose from. Look at all the column, bar charts, combinations, scatter, bubble, etc. Well, let's start with something really simple so you can get the idea of how to build a chart. And I'm going to select, I'll grab this 100% stacked 3D effects. Sounds very official. And what I want to show you here is, again, highlighting some of the functionality that is available with the charting package. And let's look at some costs for our backlog work. And how am I going to do that? Well, again, switch back over to your source view. And let me come down here and grab our approved cost, estimated at approval lab cost. So that's nice. Let's put that right in there as our measure. We always want that measure to be a numeric value. What do I want for my series? I'm going to come down here and select work type. Just drag and drop. Beautiful. And how about my categories? What do I want those to look for? Well, let's grab status because I believe we're down here in that area. Status. And as I grab status, oh, it's also really exciting to see site ID. So maybe I'll almost do like a parent-child relationship here. And watch as I drag this. I want to make sure that my status is underlined and I can bring him over, and I didn't do it correct, so let's undo that. Again, I wanted to see if I can make site ID a child as status, and if I can, I will. If not, I'm just going to leave it as it is. I think I'll leave it as it is for now, and I'm going to come back to that. Hopefully I'll remember. I'll write myself a note. But let's see what this looks like. Let's go back and switch over to page preview. Let's see what happens. Oh, wow, look at this. I can see right away I've gotten some nice information, but I'm seeing a lot of things that I had filtered out over here, and I'm not quite sure I've got this correct. So I need to go back and do a little bit more work. So let me go back to my page design and let's do that work. Well, one thing I know I want to filter out is I want to filter out on site. So I'm going to filter for report, and I'm only going to show Bedford, Laredo, and Texas, because I know those are the sites, excuse me, that have information. The other thing is I definitely got to filter out work type. Remember, each one of these containers is independent of each other. So if I apply a filter down here, it doesn't necessarily apply up here. So I want to go back over here to work type. Where is he? Work type is here. Work type, work type, work type down here. Filter that. What are we filtering on? Calibration, CM, EM, and PM. Oops, grab that PM over there. Okay. The other thing I want to do is I want to look at this a little bit. I'm not real happy with that cost that I have, so I'm going to select query expression. Does anybody really want to know just the labor cost? Probably not. What's more important to me is to show all my cost. So let me change this estimated costs, and I'm going to come down here and build it. And this is, again, so nice because I don't just have to have a chart on a single attribute. I can actually build my expression. So I've got my labor cost there. Let's grab my material cost. Oops. And I'm going to just cancel out of there because I didn't do that right. Sometimes it's easier to start from scratch. Let me show you that again. Estimated costs. Estimated approved labor costs, plus make sure you put your mouse in the correct location. Otherwise, Cognos isn't really sure what you want to do. There we go. Material costs. What else? Service costs and tool costs. Do your quick little check. Make sure you got it right. Don't want to forget any of those variables. Click OK. And so now I'm going to see my estimated costs. Perfect. The other thing I want to do, excuse me, I want to open up my properties. We haven't really worked with these much, but it's really important. Let's give a nice title here. What do we want to call this? Estimated costs, whoa, backlog. Perfect. And the other thing that's going to be extremely important is when we come down here, there's a name, and this is called by default. Cognos doesn't know what to call it, just calls it combination chart. Well, I want to call it something that I'm going to immediately recognize, and this is really important when we build our workspace. And let's click OK. So again, from the properties, all I did was change the name and the title. Let's come over here, and again, let's see if this is looking better than what we originally had. Perfect. So now what I have is I have my 3 sites. Here's a different work type, and here's my estimated cost for each one. So I can show for Laredo, the majority of costs on my CM work types. Here are my EM work types, and here's my PM work orders. I don't know what Laredo and Texas are doing, but it doesn't look like they have any PM work orders, so that would be a concern. So I can see that immediately from the graph. So powerful. Let's add one more. Let me come back here in page design. Again, just to repeat our process, open up our toolbox over here. Let me minimize that. Oops, I know I can't move it. Sorry about that. Got to pay attention to those error messages when they display chart. Let's grab that chart. I'm going to do a line chart. I always like line charts. And again, there's so many for you to choose from, but I'm just trying to highlight some of the different things that will be available to you. Let's define this guy. What do we want to measure? Let's go back over here to source. And in this case, I'm going to do a duration. Let's see how many hours things are going to be. Estimated duration. Let's see our categories. Let's go work type. I love work type again, so I can just show again that filter that we're going to apply. work type right in there. And let's try something different. Let's grab our supervisor for our primary access. He's right over there. As I mentioned, what do we want to do here? Let's see, let's do our filters while we're here. Work type, filter. I won't do all the filters, just again, trying to show you how you can quickly apply these. Okay, let's do that filter on site because a couple of our sites don't really have much data. And I like things really clean and simple. Texas, perfect. And always want to make sure that we open up our properties tab. Let's give him a name. So estimated duration, backlog. Okay, make sure you give it that same name or some other name down here. Otherwise, it's just so hard to figure out which graph goes where, excuse me. Backlog. Okay, and let's check this out. View, page preview. And let's see what this looks like. Oh, wow, excellent. Now we have two different charts. Again, here's my estimated cost. Here's my estimated duration. I can start to see way up here, I've got a bunch of hours for all the different supervisors, so I can start to work with this to get information or the data that I need to. So again, in a matter of minutes, I've gone to my toolbox. I first changed my layout, then in the toolbox, I brought over two charts. I brought in a stacked 3D bar chart and a line chart. We've done different calculations on these, different filters. So now I have a lot of very powerful information. And in the next demo, I'll show you how we'll take this report content and start building up our dashboard. So thank you very much for your time.